Coming up on Small Town Big Deal. For one weekend each summer, northern Michigan's peaceful AuSable River becomes a raging battle zone. Welcome to Small Town Big Deal. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl.
You know, by now you know that Jan and I kind of like to go with the flow, but today we're hardly alone.
That's right. I mean, all the people around us have come to the small town of Grayling, Michigan to attend a competition that is a test of endurance, not just for the athletes,
but the spectators as well.
On the last Saturday in July, just as the sun dips below the horizon, the banks of the AuSable River flood with people.
They've come to this northern Michigan town of less than 2,000 from miles around to witness a test of human endurance.
If you come watch this race, you're going to see things you had no idea you were going to see.
Let's go, boys!
It is one of the most unique athletic events that there are.
This is such a total body, mind, physical, everything.
Come on, guys!
It's a grueling contest called the AuSable River Canoe Marathon. For more than 14 hours, 81 tandem teams will race along a 120-mile stretch of the AuSable River here in northern Michigan.
Racers must be in peak physical condition to paddle 50 to 60 strokes a minute for hours and hours to cross the finish line first.
Since it starts at sunset, much of the race occurs in the dark of night. Obstacles can be difficult to spot, especially when fog settles in.
Log jams, big rocks in the river, sweepers, which are cedar trees that hang out very low over the river.
And the paddlers aren't the only ones who have a tough go of it.
This marathon has been called the world's toughest spectator event or sport. So why?
Well, just like the paddlers, 14 to 19 hours overnight, covering 120 miles. You've got to be a dedicated fan.
The dedicated fans hit the streets hours before the start of the marathon for the traditional marathon parade.
And the spirit of the parade quickly captivates Rodney.
You know, Jan, for most towns, the 4th of July parade is the big parade, but not here.
No, in Grayling, you're looking at the biggest parade of the year to celebrate the canoe marathon.
Enjoy the canoe ride!
Yeah, we like this, guys. Look at that.
The crowd is pumped for the marathon.
And have you gone to the race before?
Oh, yeah.
How do you describe it?
Amazing. You know, it's long, but the time passes. You don't even know how late it is.
Jan and I will become night owls, along with thousands of other spectators. We'll stop at some of the 14 designated viewing spots along the 120-mile route. Any advice for show hosts who got to stay up all night to cover this?
Make sure that you've got the right items packed for your trip. Of course, you're going to want some caffeine, some snack food,
Lots of caffeine.
a variety of clothing, and make sure you have a co-pilot because, of course, napping is a big deal.
With just moments to go before the start of the race, crowds pour onto Grayling streets and along its riverbank.
The racers take whatever last-minute support they can get.
She's ready for it.
I'm so nervous.
Then at 9 p.m. sharp, it's go time.
This 120-mile canoe marathon actually starts on dry land.
The Le Mans start of the AuSable River Canoe Marathon is some of the most exciting several minutes, I think, in all the sports. The teams are running 4 blocks or more to the river, all putting in the river at the same time.
The running order was determined a few days earlier at trial sprints, kind of like NASCAR.
Fastest teams are in the front, the slowest teams are in the back.
Okay, it may not look like it, but I think there is a total method to this madness, if you will.
I mean, these canoers waste no time getting their canoes in the water, and they're jockeying for position.
Odds are you've never seen or heard of anything quite like the AuSable Canoe Marathon.
But the marathon has been a fixture around here since 1947 when some locals posed a simple question.
They asked, is it possible to go nonstop from Grayling to the mouth of the AuSable River in Oscoda, 120 miles away, just near the shore of Lake Huron?
And they went out and did it. And then it grew from there. Initially, it was kind of a gentlemanly race in canoes that everybody would recognize. And then over the years, it's morphed and become much more technical and much more competitive.
So, what does tonight hold in store for these athletes?
Canoe number 55's Mike Davis and Weston Willoughby are in the front of the pack. They've done this marathon several times before.
We never stop taking a stroke unless it's to grab a quick bite to eat for maybe 10 seconds or so. But we paddled through the night, hardly stopped to eat or drink.
Brothers Mike and Josh Kellogg in Canoe 12 are paddling their first AuSable Marathon.
It's gonna be a long race. Just gotta get our way through it and finish in Oscoda.
And then canoe number 32 from Australia are Rod and Judy Clark. It's also their first AuSable Marathon.
As long as we're consistent, we will make it. Yeah. But you know, it's a long night.
After the last canoe is put into the water, the spectators leave Grayling at dusk and prepare to follow the athletes into the night. How many will cross the finish line?
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal.
We're in Grayling, Michigan. It's the starting point of the AuSable Canoe Marathon. From Grayling, it's a 120-mile, 14-hour-plus, non-stop journey along the river to Oscoda.
Spectators stay up all night and well into the next day.
It's gotten a little cooler. We got our sweatshirts on.
Our official sweatshirts, right? We're about an hour, 50 minutes into the race. We're at McMaster's Bridge. They've shut it down. I'm feeling good.
Okay, Jen just had a Red Bull.
No, I'm just excited.
After about an hour wait, cheers erupt as the first canoes reach McMaster's Bridge. Along with the spectators, we see people holding lighted signs. These are the feeders.
So the feeders are basically the pit crew for the canoes. You can't go 14 hours or more, obviously, without getting food, drink, maybe a fresh flashlight if your flashlight's gone awry.
Among the first canoes to pass under the bridge is number 55.
That's Mike Davis and Weston Willoughby. Last year, they finished the marathon in 5th place.
Right now, they're in 2nd place, but by just half a canoe length. They've decided to skip this feeding point. But they told us earlier what they eat when they do stop.
Mostly sugar, really.
We love gummy bears.
Yeah, I don't think many people have our strategy, but we're just kids.
Along the riverbank, we find feeder Susan Williams. She patiently waits for Rod and Judy Clark.
They're the 58-year-old Australian couple we met earlier from canoe number 32. This race is on their bucket list.
What are your hopes for your first time to finish?
They are very fond of little fruit cups, and they'll just take the fruit cup and swallow it down.
While Susan waits, other teams meet their feeders.
Flies are quickly dropped into their canoes while they paddle by. Every second counts.
In canoe number 12 are Josh and Mike Kellogg. Right now, they're in the middle of the pack.
This is their first AuSable Marathon, but these waters have flowed through their blood long before tonight.
These Kellogg boys have a history to live up to.
So my advice is when you get there...
Jerry Kellogg is a 4-time marathon winner. As Josh and Mike's dad, his advice is worth its weight in gold. He's competed in the marathon 16 times.
In 1973, he was featured in an issue of Sports Illustrated. And back in 1947, Jerry's father, Elmer, paddled in the very first AuSable Marathon.
This is so beautiful.
Really pretty.
Jerry takes us on a part of the marathon route. The look on his face says it all.
Why do you love this river and this community so much?
Well, the river, that's how my grandparents got there and settled. They took a raft and poled up the river and settled there and had 17 kids. And, no, it's always just been a part of our family, you know, the river.
Yeah. Not surprisingly, the Kellogg family's summer home sits along the banks of the AuSable.
Days before the marathon, 3 generations of family gather together.
Is that Grandpa? Yeah.
I see the boys now, and it's amazing. I'm so proud of them. They're so dedicated.
Mother helps kind of bring everybody together, and we have a fairly large family, so to get everybody kind of coordinated, that's probably the biggest surprise, is that hanging out with, bring the family closer together.
But Janine says the glue that bonds the family together is Jerry.
He's such a strong presence in this family. We have 6 kids together. They're all so close. It's huge.
Back at the marathon, it's been over 2.5 hours since the last canoe passed McMaster's Bridge. About 30 miles downstream, they approach Mayo Dam, the first of 6 dams.
A light emerges on the horizon. It's the lead canoe.
They've got to get the canoe out of the water and then get over the dam and along the portage as quick as they can and get back in the river and get away.
7 minutes later, and barely in second place, Mike Davis and Weston Willoughby arrive. They're greeted by their feeders.
Paddling those canoes has got to be hard enough, but carrying those canoes over those dams, that's got to be tough.
For over an hour, canoes and their feeders run the quarter-mile path across the dam.
Finally, after tipping over several times, the Kellogg brothers arrive with a canoe full of water. They're exhausted.
Sometimes the teams appreciate the chance to get out and stretch their legs and make a run.
Water, Mike, water. You guys need paddles?
Sometimes they're having a really rough time and therefore getting out of the canoe is an ordeal.
Ready? Let's go, boys! Let's go, boys! Let's go, Josh! You got Josh! Boys, get it! Let's get it!
By 3:50, there's no sign of Rod and Judy Clark in canoe number 32. Any teams that don't make it to the Mayo Dam by the 4 a.m. cutoff time are disqualified.
The clock is ticking, and the couple's dreams of finishing hang in the balance.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal.
The AuSable Canoe Marathon is entering its 7th hour, and now it's in the middle of the night.
This grueling 120-mile course goes nonstop from Grayling to Oscoda, Michigan.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Come on, we have another spot to go to. Come on, come on, come on.
About 40 miles from the starting line is Mayo Dam. It's the first of 6 dams the paddlers must cross.
As the canoes arrive, the crowd is energized, even at this late hour.
And here come these folks paddling at 60, 70 strokes per minute, who then get out and run over these dam portages. It's really something to see.
By 3:50 a.m., 10 minutes before the 4 a.m. cutoff, most of the canoes have crossed.
But Australians Rod and Judy Clark have yet to be seen. If they miss the cutoff, they're out.
Then, with only a few minutes to spare,
the Clarks are struggling.
Time is taken. You officially made it.
Get over the hump, okay?
It's all easy after this.
their feeder Susan Williams explains their delay.
They had taken a wrong turn, unfortunately, so they were behind him, and I screamed at them to pick up the pace if they could, and they did. They had heart surgery in January. They're like totally testing it to see if it works.
Yeah.
Even past 4 a.m., cars of Spectator still spill onto the roads along the riverbank.
If the waters of this mighty river could speak, they'd tell the tale of a powerful force flowing through its current. That force is love.
The day before the marathon, you can feel it in the air and see it in the water.
This Special Olympics race in Grayling pairs up marathon paddlers with Special Olympians.
We've been doing it approximately 25 years, and it just seemed like a natural fit.
Yeah, it's good.
It's forged long-standing friendships between paddlers and Olympians.
This is our 20th time doing this sprint
my
together.
Goodness.
And it started from the very beginning. And the only rule I have, she has to hug me after the race is over.
Back at the marathon, it's 8 hours in, and the paddlers have reached Alcona Dam, 75 miles from the start in Grayling.
With the light of day visible, canoe number 55's Weston, Willoughby, and Mike Davis make the crossing. They're now in third.
As the sun pops above the horizon, more and more paddlers cross the dam.
Good luck, guys.
But, along with a family of feeders, Janine Kellogg still waits for her sons Josh and Mike to arrive.
For this devoted mother, seeing her sons cross the dam is one thing, but watching them finish will hopefully be another. More Small Town Big Deal coming up, so don't go away.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. We're at Northern Michigan's AuSable Canoe Marathon.
Spectators like Janine Kellogg have been following the paddlers all night. Just after sunrise, her sons Josh and Mike approach Alcona Dam, 75 miles from the marathon start.
They made it to daylight and they're still going strong. All is well.
Up on your shoulders. Up on your shoulders.
There it is.
The marathon continues on hour after hour into the morning.
And along the way, spectators continue to cheer on the athletes.
Your biceps are amazing.
Then, after 120 miles and 14 hours, canoes number 2 and 4 are neck and neck as they approach the finish in Oscoda.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
With only 15 seconds left, Canoe 2 from Quebec pulls ahead to win by just 2 seconds.
Everything the worst could happen, it happened, but we always stay positive and we just never let go.
Coming around the curve, number 55.
Minutes later, Weston Willoughby and Mike Davis finish to take third.
First off, Michigan canoe, Mike Davis, Weston Willoughby.
Congratulations.
Oh my God, third! That's awesome. Was there anything in particular that you came up against?
Just sticking with the fast guys. We were up with second place for quite a while, and they were quite a bit faster than us.
Finishing times stretch out over 5 hours, but the crowd size remains consistent, even if a few indulge in a well-deserved nap.
Then, as the Kellogg's cross the finish line, their cheering section erupts.
It's the 61st canoe to come across the finish line, and that is canoe number 12. That is Josh and Mike Kellogg. They're going to finish this race.
What was it like to be out there as brothers doing this?
Right now for the family, that's how we wanted it.
You have to have some sort of really close bond. It makes it a little more special.
Here they come, the Clarks, right now paddling hard to the finish line.
After 18 hours, Rod and Judy Clark can cross off another item on their bucket list.
We got lost 4 times. You got lost 4 times?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to find it.
Uh-oh. Don't faint, don't faint, don't faint. Sit down.
Rod has hit a wall, but after a quick rest and a drink, he's fine.
In 19 hours, only 7 of the 81 teams that started the race drop out. Statistics play an important part of this Northern Michigan spectacle.
But those stats don't really add up until you factor in all the small towns that cherish life along this river they love.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Small Town Big Deal. And you know, Jan, of all the episodes we've done, I'm not sure there's an episode that better depicts a big deal in a small town.
Hey, if you like this episode, please check us out on Facebook. You'll see where there are lots more stories like this.
Join us again next week when once again we celebrate the great stories from across America.
Explain the process of the feeders.
And how do we get one?
Here we go.
One that feeds like gummy bears and candy bars like we just heard
That's
about.
the one I want.
You ready to do it again next year?
That's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Well, you did a great job.
It was really tough.
You did awesome.
Yep, I knew this was where I'd find you. It's the barbecue hut, open all night.
Hey. I don't know, I'm totally brain dead.
It's okay, it's late. Did you get barbecue?
No.